Great Xian Nation, Xuanjing City, Grand Preceptor's Mansion. Grand Preceptor, please have some. Grand Preceptor, please have some. A toast to the Grand Preceptor's long life. In over 50 years, I rose from nothing to become the Grand Preceptor of the Great Xian Nation. My power knew no rival, and the tales of my life could fill a novel of countless volumes. The old man said while chugging the jar of alcohol. Then began to reminisce. When he, Li Fan, first crossed into this world, he was but a destitute scholar. Such is the way of life. What more could a man desire? He questioned, while glancing at the lively scene below him. And as if to answer his question, one of his followers entered the hall sprinting, gasping for air while calling for him. Grand Preceptor! Grand Preceptor! Fire is falling from the heavens. It must be an auspicious omen indeed. It seems to be descending upon our Grand Preceptor's mansion. Hearing this, the old man was naturally shocked, as he also went out to witness the spectacle. This is... he questioned as he saw two people floating in the air, emitting massive amounts of spiritual energy, one having a fiery aura, while the other possessed the sword aura. However, the situation quickly turned hostile as one could overhear the two fighting about something. Dao Xuanzi. Don't push me too far. On the other hand, the old man staggered back in disbelief at finally seeing cultivators. While the other bow in reverence. An immortal master. An immortal master is displaying his divine might. This must be an auspicious sign. How can this be? He wondered while his body kept teasing up due to the excitement. While on the other hand the sword cultivator demanded for the other guy to give up. Ko Hong. Did you think fleeing to this spiritually barren land would make me spare you? Hand over the cultivation method he seized that day, or the battle will not end until one of them drops dead. What a jest. It is precisely because I lacked a core formation method that I have been trapped in the foundation establishment stage for nearly 100 years. Now my time has come to an end, and I am close to turning into dust. Having finally obtained this core formation method, how could I possibly surrender it to another? Indeed, the road to the golden core is a solitary one. Though many core formation methods exist, far more cultivators remain forever trapped in foundation establishment. In that case, with a method to attain longevity before my eyes, how could I possibly let you live? With that, the sword cultivator flared up his energy intending on fighting. However, the other guy was no slouch either, as he also emitted his energy while also not forgetting to laugh at the situation. How laughable. After a century of brotherhood, we now draw our blades for a mere sliver of survival. He then continued while manifesting his energy into a dragon. I know I am not your match, and I will likely meet my end today. But with so many mortals gathered here, I wonder if you can endure the dense mortal miasma. Sparing no time, the sword cultivator also manifested his sword aura, preparing for a deadly battle. Ko Hong. What do you think you're doing? With that, he launched his sword covered with intense sword intent at his opponent, who was also not willing to give up, unleashing his own attack. If you cannot withstand the immortal mortal miasma's force, perhaps I can seize a chance to live. The two massive energies then collided with each other, causing a huge explosion that threatened to flatten the land. Unable to react to the huge force imposed upon them, the mortals down below gazed above with awe and fear etched into their faces. This is bad. And so the land below was not spared by the shockwave the two immortals caused. Every structure now turned into rabble. Luckily the old man survived, as he woke up only to witness the destruction and chaos inflicted by the immortals. Ugh. Cough, cough. Cough, cough. Cough, my wife. My children. Cough, cough. The once bustling and prosperous Xuanjing city has turned into a hell of blood and fire. Everywhere the eye looks, there are only shattered bodies and fallen ruins. I fear that not even 1 in 100 of the common people will survive this calamity. And all of this was caused by two cultivators who appeared out of nowhere. Thinking about such, he could not help but burst into a manic laughter. Ha 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 ha. How could there be cultivators in this world? From the moment I became an official, I used the power in my hands to search for any sign of the immortal path. After I became the imperial preceptor, standing above all others, I searched the world without rest. North to the icy sea, south to the great ocean, east to the void abyss, and west to the endless mountains. Throughout the entire Great Xian, there was not the slightest trace of an immortal's presence. I had already given up. I had grown old. Were those two people truly immortals? And from where did they come? Is fate merely toying with me? With that he executed a hand sign, with powerful spiritual energy shimmering around him, as he then activated his trump card, the truth returning. Huan Zhen. When falsehood is taken for truth, truth becomes falsehood. Charging complete. Virtualize the current scene and return to the initial anchor point, Huan Zhen, that is the name I gave my unique treasure. Its power is to turn truth into illusion, and reality into falsehood. It allows my real experiences to be transformed into simulated illusions, letting me return to a fixed anchor point, the very moment I first crossed into this world. In truth, this is already my second life since arriving in the Great Xian nation. In my first life, though I was full of ambition, I was no more than an ordinary man. I longed to become the top scholar, yet failed the examinations time and again. By the age of 30, I abandoned that dream and turned to business. I became a wealthy commoner. Took a wife, raised children, and lived a quiet, mundane life. Only when I grew old and lay dying did I finally awaken the unique treasure, Huan Zhen, truth returning. That awakening marked the start of my second life, one of meteoric rise and unstoppable progress. For once the Huanzhen system is charged, it allows me to restart this life, returning to a chosen point of failure and beginning anew. Yet I cannot restart just yet. There are still important matters I must complete in this life. We then see a memory where he was passing down his orders. Pass down my order. Command the Wuwei Bata lion stationed outside the city to march into Xuanjing and maintain order after the catastrophe. Yes. Most of Xuanjing's buildings lay in ruins. After my trusted Wuwei battalion took control, they not only hastened the city's reconstruction, but more importantly, I could remain in the military camp to oversee recovery and secretly send agents to track the whereabouts of the two cultivators. A month later, the ruined Xuanjing city began to show faint signs of life. Several months later, the city gradually came back to life. Reporting to the Grand Preceptor. There is still no trace of those two cultivators. I should not have placed my hopes on such a thing. In that case, there is nothing left in this life worth clinging to. And again he used the truth returning. Huan Zhen. Virtualize the current scene and return to the initial anchor point. Yes. And so he began the process of going back in time, as he also managed to see all the memories he experienced. His attention particularly stopping on the images of the two cultivators. Dao Xuanzi, Ko Hong. In 50 years' time, I shall still be waiting for you in Xuanjing City. Huan Zhen. Restart a new life, return to the first anchor year. Understood. And so the space around him warped, transporting his soul into the void. Wealth and honor are but fleeting clouds to me. In the next life, I shall hunt immortals. The truth returning. System then narrated his travel through time. You returned to anchor year 1. Overjoyed, you did some outrageous things and were nearly forced by your aunt to drink exorcism water obtained from the village witch. Half a year later, you took the provincial examination. Although you ranked in the low 30s, you ultimately succeeded in becoming a Jiren, bringing honor to your ancestors. Anchor year 2, you took the metropolitan examination and passed. You performed exceptionally well in the palace examination, placing in the second rank and were conferred the title of Jinsher. You pulled strings throughout Xuanjing City and obtained the position of County Magistrate of Wen County in Jiangnan. Anchor year 3, you began to cultivate a team of trusted subordinates. You successfully produced a batch of explosives and matchlock guns. Anchor Year 5, refugees gathered and rebelled against the Prince of Langya's manor. You led troops to the rescue, saving the Prince of Langya's family. The Prince of Langya was deeply grateful to you. Anchor Year 6, you were promoted to prefect of Jianghuai Prefecture and married the daughter of the Vice Minister of Personnel. Anchor Year 7, your wife gave birth to a son for you. Anchor Year 10, the Princess of Langya gave birth to a son. You personally visited to offer congratulations and presented a carefully prepared gift. Anchor Year 15. The Emperor passed away. The Prince of Langya ascended the throne, changing the era name to Xuanjing. Emperor Xuanjing summoned you to the capital, promoted you to Vice Minister of War, and ordered you to lead troops to quell the rebellion. Anchor Year 18, you wiped out the rebel army. Emperor Xuanjing revoked your military authority, promoted you to Minister of War, and appointed you Grand Tutor to the Crown Prince. Anchor Year 20, the Empress was suddenly implicated in a witchcraft case. Emperor Xuanjing was furious and confined her to the cold palace. The Crown Prince secretly sought your help, and you decisively agreed. Through private investigations, out found the person who framed the Empress and cleared her name. However, Emperor Xuanjing did not release the Empress from the cold palace. Anchor Year 25, you secretly received a message that someone had reported you for privately visiting the Empress in the cold palace. In the same year, Emperor Xuanjing was assassinated. On his way to the capital, the officials went to the cold palace to escort out the Empress. Afterwards, the Crown Prince ascended the throne, with the era name Kongning. Anchor Year 26, you were ennobled as Grand Tutor and appointed Grand Secretary of the Deliberation Council. Reaching the pinnacle of power as a subject. You used this opportunity to form factions and attack rivals, establishing your own power base in the imperial court. Anchor Year 30, the people of the realm only knew of the Grand Tutor, not the Emperor. Anchor Year 31, the Empress Dowager became pregnant and gave birth to a son for you. Anchor Year 38, Emperor Kongning died of depression. Anchor Year 40, the Empress Dowager passed away from illness. Anchor Year 45, your wife passed away. Anchor Year 46, your eldest son passed away from illness. Anchor Year 50, 2 immortals came from the eastern abyssal ruins, destroying Xuanjing City in an instant. You were lucky to escape with your life. This simulation has ended. You may choose one of the following options to retain. 1. An item you possessed during this simulation. 2. Your cultivation realm from this simulation. 3. The simulation memory of a person closely related to you. This memory can be inherited by that person. 4. Forgo the above options to accelerate the charging progress. Is it that reality has become all of this, or is all of this an illusion, just a simulation, a misconception caused by it being too real? Or perhaps, after a certain point, the line between fake and real ceases to exist. Forget it. I should look at these 4 options first. 1. An item you possessed during this simulation. 2. Your cultivation realm from this simulation. There's not much to say about the first and second options. If I embark on the path of cultivation, these 2 would definitely be helpful. As for the third option, no one knows what a person will become after receiving decades of memories. Therefore, stability is paramount. That only leaves the fourth option. The truth returning, ability to turn reality into illusion requires charging. When I suffer a fatal blow, truth returning will consume charging progress to automatically protect me. This is also the reason I was able to escape death several times in my previous life. Therefore, the fourth option is the most prudent choice. Accelerate the charging progress. Name, Li Fan. Realm, mortal. Physiological age, 20 out of 86. Mental age, 166 out of 1056. Illusion turning charge progress, 30%. 3 lifetimes, 166 years. So I've already lived for this long. But the upper limit of my mental age. I remember it was only over 900 years in the last life, but now it has increased to over 1,000. After carrying too many memories, one's mental fortitude reaches a threshold. If the burden is too heavy, it will crush the soul. This is the so-called erosion of time. However, the upper limit of one's mental age will increase as their mental fortitude strengthens. As long as I embark on the path of immortal cultivation, nothing will be a problem. The goal of this life is to learn the secrets of immortal cultivation from those two cultivators. In 50 years, they will descend upon Xuanjing City. By being prepared against the unprepared, I might just have a chance of winning. Perhaps what I can rely on, besides guns and gunpowder, is the mortal miasma they mentioned. I can't just wait idly for 50 years. They came from the eastern abyssal ruins. I can first send people deep into the bottom of the abyssal ruins to investigate. The most frightening thing in life is having no goal. In my past life, many times I would wake up from the Empress Dowager's bed in the middle of the night and feel an immense emptiness and confusion. Coldly looking at my own hands and my calculating abilities, which are far beyond those of an ordinary person that I am in my past life, I had already stood at the pinnacle of mortals, I could go no higher. It would be the same even in another life. Power and pleasure, after being repeated many times, became as tasteless as chewing wax. Perhaps, after a certain reincarnation, I would have chosen to end my own life. But the appearance of those two cultivators showed me a brand new possibility. I will cultivate immortality. I want eternal life. No one can stop me. Dao Xuanzi. Ko Hong. See you in 50 years. With the experience of 2 lifetimes, everything went as smoothly as a river flowing to the sea. I still participated in the imperial examinations. This time, however, with decades more experience in power, the essays I wrote were naturally far superior to those of my previous life. I placed first in the provincial, metropolitan, and palace examinations, achieving a triple first, and my name shook the realm. Afterwards, I still chose to serve as an official in Wen County. Although there was much confusion and regret in the imperial court, my request was ultimately approved. Due to my great fame, and my crystal-clear understanding of the temperaments of all the officials in the county, I quickly brought Wen County under my firm control and began to promote and cultivate the trusted subordinates from my previous life. Anchor Year 4, I searched in secret and found someone who could act as a double for the Prince of Langya, and I cultivated them as a trusted subordinate. Anchor Year 5, I ordered my subordinate to pose as a refugee and stormed the Prince of Langya's manor. I feigned a rescue, but in reality, I collaborated from the inside to kill the Prince of Langya's family, while having the double take his place. From then on, I secretly controlled the Prince of Langya's manor. We then see him getting freaky with the granddaughter of the Chief Grand Secretary, Princess of Langya. Anchor Year 9, the wedding of the Prince of Langya and the Chief Grand Secretary's granddaughter was held as scheduled. That night, I snuck into the bridal chamber and consummated the marriage with the Princess of Langya. Anchor Year 10, the Princess of Langya gave birth to a son. Of course, he was my flesh and blood. Anchor Year 15, the Emperor finally fell gravely ill. After receiving the Edict of Succession, I hurried to the capital with my trusted subordinates. Chief Grand Secretary. After the Prince of Langya ascended the throne, I brazenly placed my trusted subordinates in the imperial court. With the Chief Grand Secretary's covert cooperation, I easily took control of the situation. Anchor Year 20, after installing my son as emperor, I named myself Grand Tutor, stepping out from behind the scenes to once again wield absolute power over the realm. After this, the gears of the great Xian nation's development did not grind to a halt, on the contrary, they turned even faster due to my will. Grand Tutor's Manor. Anchor Year 35. So, you're saying the mist over this abyssal ruins disperses for half a day every 15 years? Reporting to the Grand Tutor, that is correct. My immortal seeking camp was ordered to be stationed beside the abyssal ruins, observing day and night. We finally made a breakthrough a few days ago. After the thick fog disperses, a faint light can be seen shining from the bottom of the abyss. We used a telescope to observe and discovered all sorts of inverted sceneries. Although what each person saw was not exactly the same, there were 100,000. Mountains rising and falling, with magnificent structures hidden among them, faintly visible. There were majestic cities standing on the plains, bustling with life, with a population of no less than 1,000,000. And there was even a city in the sky, wreathed in rosy Taoist light, with all kinds of rare birds and exotic beasts flying amidst it. Truly. Wait, so it really is from the abyssal ruins. Have you found a way to get to the bottom of the abyss? The old man wondered. Your subordinate is incompetent. We have tried various methods, but no matter what, once we descend to a certain depth, we are torn to shreds by a sudden astral wind. The astral wind is so powerful that not even our toughest armor can withstand it for a moment. Sigh. It seems I still have to wait for you too. Time then shifts to the great Xian nation, anchor year 50, Xuanjing. The scene our old protagonist was waiting for finally arrived as the two cultivators came into view, fighting like the last time they did, repeating the same dialogue. Dao Xuanzi. Don't you push things too far. However, their confrontation was halted by a rain of bullets aiming straight for them. Who dares to launch a sneak attack?